Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Sir Alex Ferguson Challenge with West Ham. Now in today's episode we have the final game of the Premier League season. We will figure out if we are going to get Champions League football for next season. But of course we've got some fixtures to review since the last time we met. So the last time we met was the 2-1 victory against Man City in the second leg of our Champions League group stage, which unfortunately meant we were knocked out of the competition. But we followed that up with a 3-0 away win against Bournemouth. Ronaldo Vieira got us the opening goal in the 25th minute. Tete and Brent Beckiart got another goal to secure a 3-0 win. Next up was Huddersfield at home in the Premier League and we won 3-0. 2 from Moise Kean, 1 from Toussaint. Jaramillo got himself injured unfortunately in this game and he will miss the final game of the season. And the last game before we get into the final game of the season was a 2-0 away defeat to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now if you have a look where Wolves are in the league, they are in 16th position. With that win it got them out of the relegation battle, so now they are safe in the Premier League. So I guess that's okay for them, but not very good for us. But as you can see from the table here, we are 3 points clear from Spurs in 5th position with 1 game to go. I think it's highly unlikely that they're going to overtake us. I believe it still goes on goal difference, so we've got plus 41, they've got plus 13, so we should be okay. But this is the lineup that is going to face Everton today. Davies, Wagnerman, Holden, Panzo, Lato, Toussaint, Tonali, Vieira, Tete, Campos and Moise Kean. Now for some of these players it might be the very last time you see them in a West Ham shirt. I am planning on making major changes in the summer, but we'll discuss that later on. Highlight now, Campos in the centre of midfield for us, plays it out to Tete on the right hand side. Tom Davies with a decent challenge but he can't get rid. The ball's bouncing backwards and forwards from possession as often happens with us. Tete dispossesses Bernard on that left hand side. He's driving forward. Can he get the ball into the box? He can. Nearly an own goal. Highlight now, Tony Lato with the corner. Moise Kean gets in front of the goalkeeper and gets himself his 14th goal of the season, which is really impressive really considering he started most games on the left hand side, and since Campos has come in, Moise Kean has been playing sort of a backup, but obviously with Jaramillo injured, he has had to start up front the last few games and he's getting goals, to be fair to him. We'll keep an eye on the latest scores just in case Spurs end up winning 50-0. It's still 0-0 in their game, so I think we're pretty safe. And that's it, half time. Sandro Tonali is struggling out there, so we're going to get him off. Pointless risking him. He is going to be a big part of our future going forward. We'll get Beckiart in for him. Vieira now with the ball straight from kick-off. Tonali on the edge of the box. Nearly gets his goal just before he gets subbed off for Beckiart. Wagnerman now down this right-hand side. Can we work an opening and get our second goal of the game? Beckiart comes forward. Lovely spray ball out to Tony Lato on the left-hand side. Tete's back post. Nearly 2-0. Highlight now, and it's Everton this time. Sigurdsson with the free kick. We get it clear and Tete can break. Moise Kean's got a lot of space on that right-hand side if he can find him, and he does. Can he get his second goal of the game? Good save by the keeper. 15 minutes to go. We're going to make some changes after this highlight. Moise Kean nods on the corner from Beckiart and Tete is back post and he makes it 2-0. 2 goals from set pieces, so that's quite decent. Beckiart, decent ball in. Moise Kean is causing all sorts of trouble up front. It is something to think about. Moise Kean causing trouble up front. We'll make our 2 subs though. Who is available? So we'll get Declan Rice on for Lucas Toussaint and we'll get Emerson on for Wagnerman. Emerson on this right hand side. Can he get the ball in the box? He finds Beckiart on the edge. Can he get the strike in? Bettinelli is equal to it. Mason Holgate takes down somebody. It was Campos in the box who has stepped up. It is Beckiart. Can he finish this one? He can. He puts it just past the goalkeeper, making it 3-0. Richarlison plays the ball in. Everton looking for their consolation as the full-time whistle fastly approaches, and that's it. West Ham 3, Everton 0. A great way to finish the season. It confirms that we will be playing Champions League football for next season. I would have considered it quite the disaster had we not managed to pull that off, but we've done it. We're finishing 4th. I'm not happy, but I'm content with that. So thinking about the squad for next season, we obviously have a lot of money to spend. We've got 118 million so far, 115 million so far to spend. So even if they don't raise it by any, it's still a hefty chunk of change. Now, one of the key things I want you to take a note of here is our top scorer for our whole entire squad has got 17 goals in 33 games. Now, when you start managing some of the better players in the game, and when you're challenging at the top of especially major leagues like the Premier League and Serie A, if you haven't got a striker who isn't getting close to a goal a game, or at least a goal contribution a game, meaning an assist or goal, something isn't right with your system. And if you look at the spread of our goals, there's a lot of players who have scored, but there's nobody standing out as this is our goal scorer. He is going to get us 30 goals a season in the Premier League. We haven't got that. Alexander Isak, I believe, is good enough to do it. He might not be good enough anymore after his 5-month injury, so that's something we're going to have to think about in the summer. But I do believe it relies on our system. Now, I'm not getting the best out of our wingers. Tete, Moise Kean, Campos, Gabriel. I'm not feeling the contribution that we're getting from them. So looking forward to next season, I am thinking to completely change the formation and completely change the whole makeup of this squad. So if we just ignore tactical presets for a minute, we could end up doing a narrower formation, maybe a 4-1-2-1-2. Play the diamond. We're going to have Lucas Toussaint in defensive midfielder position, holding things back. Maybe even push. I often end up playing this formation, particularly when I'm managing in Italy. You know, you've got your defensive midfielder either as an anchorman or a halfback, essentially making a triangle of a back three with your two wing backs then pushing forward and providing the width for the wings. And that's one of the things that I really want to look at. I think the wing backs can do 80% of the job of somewhat a dedicated winger or inside forward on that right hand side. So if we can get more out of our wing backs in Wagnerman and Tony Lato, but that's another area what I want to look at in the summer. I think something like this would work better, although I'm still not convinced by this position here. I might end up doing 3 up top. You know, I know it was overpowered last year, and it was suggested from what I've read that maybe it's been nerfed since the new game started. But in terms of pure contribution, in terms of goals and assists, I always seem to get better from strikers than I do from wingers and attacking midfielders, as you would expect. But in terms of football manager, I'm thinking that maybe a formation like this might be something I'll look towards. Now, in terms of tactical preset I'll work from, I don't know, honestly. Control possession's what I've focused on throughout the seasons. It has been a bit wishy-washy this season. I've tried Gegenpress, I've tried vertical tiki-taka. I've tried a few other things as well. It's probably my fault, some of the inconsistent form, because I was clutching at straws and panicking and changing things too quickly before I'd let the squad get used to it and let them get settled. So I'm thinking for next season, we would definitely play at least 2 strikers, without a shadow of a doubt. Who they'll be, I don't know. Jaramillo will be in the squad next season. He's obviously going to be probably our main man. Alexander Isak, it's high chance he'll still be here. Nobody's going to want to bid for him whilst he's still out for another 4 months. Moise Kean can stay in the squad as well, even if I don't play wingers, because he is natural in that striker position. And despite his limited potential now, this is probably as good as it's going to get. I still think he's got plenty to offer to the team, particularly playing up front. And if I do go for that change of system, we've got some really sellable assets. We've got Felipe Anderson coming back from... I didn't actually address this. I ended up loaning him to FC in France. So he will be coming back and I'll try and get some money for him. The main reason why I might not do it is this guy, Gonzalo Campos. It looks like he's going to be one of the best players in the world. 3.5-star current, 5-star potential. Cost us 1.4 million in January. So... he's only worth 11 million now. Maybe I'll loan him out for a season to try and improve his value whilst I do this sort of test without wingers. Tete, it'll be worth plenty. He's worth 30 million. So if we could get something close to that for him, that would be fantastic. Gabriel, similar, 10 million worth. Maybe if we get 15, 20 million for him, that would be great. And all of that will get pumped back into the squad to improve it. And as part of the transfer strategy that I'm going to employ during the summer, I'm going to stop focusing on youth so heavily. As you've probably noticed through my transfers, I usually go for low value, low cost, young players who then can develop out on loan, and if they're good enough, they can come into the first team squad then. It's not enough for this sort of setup that we've got with the amount of teams in the Premier League that are just fantastic. Man United, Liverpool, Man City, Spurs, Chelsea. I don't know what's happened to Arsenal, but they're usually up there as well. I need to bring in experienced, quality players to play in some key positions. I'm particularly thinking centre-back. I'm thinking if we get... I don't care how old they are, as long as they are supremely good, potentially world-class, that's the kind of centre-back I want. Central midfield might be another area where I look at to think, right, I've got these young boys, a lot of them were designed around or were bought for the old system with their Metzola. I'm thinking maybe I should change that, get workhorses in there, get box-to-box midfielders, get ball-winning midfielders. Let's see how we can progress with that, because we'll have Lucas Toussaint and we'll have Declan Rice in our defensive midfield position. I think that's pretty safe, because if you look at Lucas Toussaint's stats, he is stupidly good to me. He's a 3.5-star player, but I don't believe that. I think he's a potentially a world-class defensive midfielder. So I'm just going to think out loud here. We'll think about what our starting 11 could be in this new system and where maybe I'm comfortable with keeping players. Ignore the rules for now. That will change depending on personnel. So Craig Davies, he will be our goalkeeper next season. He's absolutely fantastic. 3-star current, 5-star potential. Academy product. 2 England caps to his name. 18 years old. Another season in the Prem will do him the world of good. Now, centre-backs. Is there any centre-back who I'm completely happy with? Rob Holding was signed this season for 26 million. He was signed as sort of a backup player, really. So he'll probably end up staying around. Elizalde may find himself going out once we sign someone who's a lot better. Reece Oxford hasn't developed as much as I thought he was going to. It looks like his potential's pretty much filled now, and he's not like he's good. He's not bad, but he's not fantastic. And the same with Panzo. It looks like his potential's coming to an end, and he's not absolutely fantastic either. So at the very least, one centre back, but very, very likely there might end up being 2. So I'm going to leave both centre-back positions free. In terms of defensive midfield, as I've said, I'm happy with Lucas Toussaint. I think he'll do the business anywhere I play him, he's going to do a job. Right wing back Wagnerman, I'm completely happy with that. In terms of backup, maybe Emerson might not be good enough. I might end up selling Emerson. He's worth 11.5 million, 2.5-star current, 3-star potential. He does play that wing back role really well. So unless I can find someone who could challenge Wagnerman for the first team spot, Emerson might end up staying in the team. Tony Lato is not the kind of guy I want playing left wing back. I want somebody better. Whether that's a 29-year-old or a 21-year-old, it doesn't really matter. But he'd be a good backup anyway. And of course, we've got Aaron Creswell. I've given him a new contract for 3 years because I just didn't want to let him go. So left back will probably be an area where I look at. Sandro Tonali is definitely a central midfielder who does not leave the side no matter what. I will find a position for him and a role for him that will suit the side. In terms of other central midfielders, we've got Beckyard. Beckyard is good and he's got a lot of room to grow, but maybe I need to loan him out. Maybe he needs a season in a top league with a good team, a full season under his belt, where the expectation's a bit less and he can just play. I don't know. That other central midfield position might be filled by someone in our squad. We'll wait and see what happens with that. In terms of attack and midfielder centre, we do not have any, really, apart from Beckyard in this first team squad as we speak right now. But we do have Jerlek, who was loaned out in the January transfer window, who is playing for Valencia. He's been playing okay. He's a 3.5-star current ability player with still a bit of room to grow as well. So maybe he's the first choice there, but maybe we'll sign someone else to compete with him. And in terms of up front, I am happy with Alexander Isaac and Jaramillo. So them two will be first choice strikers for me, and Moise Keane will be a very, very handy deputy at the striker position. But that leaves a lot to fill in. 2 centre-backs, a left wing-back, a central midfielder, and potentially a attacking midfielder. So we'll have to wait and see how the summer goes. What sort of transfer budget we're going to get. Are we going to get any more? And how much are we going to raise from selling the wingers and maybe some of the youngsters who come back having successful loan spells, but the potential's gone. So then I might sell them on for future profit as well. So yeah, the long story short of it is it's going to be a busy summer. It's going to be a transformation of the squad, and I want to be competing for the Premier League title next season. So, in terms of the Sir Alex Ferguson comparison, it's been a really poor season from us compared to last season. Last season we finished 2nd in the league. This season we finished 4th. Last season I think it was the 5th round of the FA Cup. This time we got the 6th round, which is a little bit better. 4th round, League Cup knockout and quarter-final knockout in the Champions League. So we have dropped positions in the Premier League without gaining much anywhere else, which is highly disappointing. But compared to Sir Alex's 4th season in charge of Manchester United, we did a lot. Well, actually, would you consider it a lot better? Would you take an FA Cup win if it meant you missed out on Champions League football? Definitely not. Not in this day and age, actually. But I'm not even sure if Champions League football was around when the 4th season when he was in charge of Man United. But as you can see, we are still comparing really well to what Alex Ferguson was achieving, and we're on the right track, I would say. I think the changes in the summer, we'll see a radical change in the style of football we'll play, the sort of signings we do, and hopefully in the results we get. If you have enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, and if you enjoy my content, get yourself subscribed. But until next time, take it easy.